In this episode of Where's the Fun, we talk about Shadowgate. Like 3 of them. It's a lot of Shadowgates. And like 2 of them were a bit different, but you'll see that soon. Yeah. Shadowgate. Okay, you guys ready? Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. And now it's time for our lovely segment, Where's the Fun? So welcome to Where's the Fun segment. Just got a little transition, right? In this segment, we answered the question, where's the fun? Thank you, Morgan, for that great title and that great question. It's a great design question that we should ask ourselves about all the games we play if we're trying to learn from them. Where is the fun in the game? And that's what this whole segment's about. Try to do that live on stream as we go, but this is kind of summarizing a game we've played, or a game that I've played more recently. In this case, we are actually talking about Shadowgate. We played that last time on stream. It was a very quick, brief playthrough. We actually played 3 different versions of the same game. So we played the one in the middle there is the more modern release from Zojoi. I think it's 2016, right around that time frame, like the last couple years. The one that I remember from my childhood is Shadowgate on the NES, and of course on the right hand side here you can see they have Shadowgate. This is the original Apple II release. And we kind of went through the Apple II one, then the Shadowgate, and the NES one, and then the modern version, just to kind of see what the difference is, kind of compare, contrast them, stuff like that. And it was a really interesting things, but I'm going to kind of, the big things we saw, so if I click through here, and I said, this is what the original Apple II one looked like. It actually had color. There was the old Mac version we had the option of playing, which was just black and white, which is fine. You know, you look at Obra Dinn. Obra Dinn was amazing, and it was all done that Apple style of stuff. This is the kind of graphics we were dealing with. The big thing I noticed in this specific edition was I did like the ability to move around the UI and stuff like that. It's very modern, a very, very nice touch. Like the ability to look through my inventory, and it was just all organized by myself. But the big piece that I had a challenge with was the lack of music and the lack of animation, the lack of richness in the graphics and stuff like that. Not the graphics, in the animation. There was no animation because I grew up with the NES one. This is the screen. This is actually a screenshot from what it looks like the Xbox One re-release or something like that, which is pretty cool. But this is the NES one that I grew up with. I have the card over there in my library. And the thing about this game was that it's a little bit more streamlined. The graphics were a little bit richer, but they had this beautiful music you're hearing in the background, these beautiful chip tunes, and we also had a little bit of animation, a little bit of interesting stuff going on in the game itself. So I really appreciated that aspect of it. But other than that, what we found was it was almost identical, if not identical, to the Apple II version. It was a real direct port. Just they had to redo the whole graphics engine and everything like that to make it. And they tweaked. They turned it up to 10 there to make it a little bit richer. Then of course you get into the next version, which is this is the other death screen that we got to see often enough with me, because again, I lack the skill to play most video games. I'm not very good at them. But this is what the new version is. Hand-painted, beautiful stills with some animation in there. Beautiful new music as well. That's very atmospheric. They've enriched the story a little bit, added more content to it. But one of the big pieces I found was that you could always go back to the old retro version because they paid tribute to a lot of the beautiful old music, especially this stuff. I love this music; it's so good. But yeah, this is the more modern version, and this was not a direct port. This was similar. It felt similar. You could bring back some of the aesthetics of the NES version at least, but they did change the puzzles. They updated, they refreshed it, because if you had played the other one like I had a few times over, it was going to be old hat, you know? So they upped the difficulty, they randomized some of the objects depending on your difficulty, things like that. So, very interesting way of looking at Shadowgate, or reimagining of Shadowgate. So what did I feel about this game? You know, there's 3 major feelings that I had. I felt nervous a lot of the time. Nervous that I was going to fall into an instant death trap or something like that. But when I also felt confused. Again, it's kind of a negative emotion. I felt lost numerous times. And now that's the style of game, right? That's the point-and-click adventure. You get lost. You don't know what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you forgot something you were supposed to be doing. You know I beat this game a long time ago on stream, I think on Twitch, back in my youth, whenever that was. But even then, I tried to get through it all, and I used the guide very rarely, but you get confused and I lost. I don't like that feeling that much. But when you do solve something, whether it's a riddle of the Sphinx, or you find the right potion to put on the thing to get across, you drink the right potion to get across the right bridge, you get to the accomplished feeling, which you see this one repeat a lot in the games that I play on streams. I want to feel accomplished. If I don't feel that, it's a huge challenge for me. It's a huge problem, because I want to, when I sit down in front of a game, don't get a lot of time to play games, right? I got my real life, got my day job, got all this other stuff. But when I sit down and play a game, I want to feel like I'm doing something good, that I'm getting something out of it. And I do feel that with Shadowgate and most point-and-click adventures, but this one, I had a lot more nervousness and a lot more confusion around it. So, let's talk about the good things as we get the death music, the beautiful, beautiful death music. The three good things that I pulled out of this game really were the lore, the puzzles, and the animation. The lore, I'm going to give kudos to the more modern one. They really enriched the storyline, made it a little bit more interesting for newer players. And I would say they fleshed out the pieces that I thought were lacking in the original, because I didn't have the instruction book or anything like that, from what I can remember. Usually it was a rental for me. But it was interesting to see, like, how they had kind of brought this whole thing forward, and you could, the wizards and the circle of the circle of the wizards and the behemoth, and they kind of explained some of this stuff rather than, in case you didn't read the instruction book like I did, you know, you get to the end and you don't really know why there's this big monster coming out at you. You don't know what you're doing with it. So it was really kind of an interesting turn with that. The puzzles. I really like these puzzles most of the time. We'll get to that. The NES Apple II one, I like those puzzles most of the time. But there's some that just seemed difficult. Like a good example, we saw this actually on stream. With, I think, near this music right here, there was a troll at a bridge, and you had to cross the bridge, and you had to give him a gold coin. I did not know where a gold coin was, so what did I do? I hucked the right answer was to huck a spear at him, and then he fell to the ground and fell into this bottomless pit. What was interesting about that was that when I went back across, I had to go get something else back across the bridge. When I went back, the troll was there, and now he had my spear. Now, I like that touch. The troll had my spear now and was stronger, and still wanted the gold coin. The thing I didn't like was that I had tried other objects, other weapons. Like I tried a sword, I tried a hammer, I tried a couple things prior, and none of those things worked. It just ended up with instant kills. So this is the style of game. But when you do get over it, you do get that accomplishment feeling. The second thing I'm going to give, the last thing I could pull out of this was the level of animation. Now, let's focus on the NES one, because the more modern version, graphics are beautiful. You can't deny that. With the stills, with the animations, it's still great. Comparing the Apple II experience versus the, what do you want to call it? The Apple II experience versus the NES experience. It really was amazing to see how much those little animations made a difference. Just the little transitional effects, little things here and there of like the shark fin going. And I should add to this, the music. The lack of music in the original, like this music really helps you get immersed into an 8-bit classic, absolutely. So, very cool thing to see that the animation and the music were key factors in what I like, and how simple they were. I mean, not to say that music's simple, but definitely they were good. They were good and they were strong, and I really liked them. And they made the NES version still my favorite version by far. But I appreciate that the modern version pays respect to that version, because it's really definitely inspired by that NES one. It's a great game as well, but my heart still goes with the little simplicity, the little animation from the NES version. So the less good, the confusion. I don't like feeling confused, because it takes away from my feeling of accomplishment. In the game, I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm wasting time, and I don't like feeling like I'm wasting my time. Which leads to the second piece. I was usually confused by some sort of moon logic. Moon logic, unless you're not sure of what that is, it's a term coined from the LucasArts games, where you'd have to, Shadowgate wasn't as bad as most of these old LucasArts games, where you'd like, oh, you gotta take the handkerchief and rub the mud on it and put the mud on a flagpole, and that will denote that there is in a battlefield of a place you don't heard of that they can fire the cannons, and that will open the door for you. And that's how you open the locked door that you don't have a key for. Like, just ridiculous puzzles that are over the top. You're never going to put them together unless you randomly click stuff, or just kind of, it's just weird, goofy stuff that you have no context to. There are a few puzzles like that, but there's a few of them that I just didn't really, I don't see how you're supposed to connect those dots other than just hammering away at randomly putting things into different spots and trying to figure out what you're doing. And I don't like that all that much, but that is a point-and-click adventure staple. Like, that's kind of how they roll. So that's the less good. So I want to take that thing out of it, and I don't want to make sure I don't have that in my own game. So the takeaways I got from this game are really, Moon Logic is still a no. No Moon Logic. You want to make sure that there's context to the interactions and the solutions to your puzzles. 2 is that a mouse interface is better than a keyboard and mouse interface. Playing the modern version, I did realize that although it was kind of nice to have the aesthetic of the old click from the NES, you had to pick your action, then go click on the thing, click on the thing. Having just a simple mouse interface is really nice. Being able to just move your mouse, click on the thing, and then interact from a wheel, much nicer. It's like when we played The Witcher online a while ago. I played with just the pure, simple mouse interface where I'm just clicking on the things I wanted to. Love that, and I think I really got to focus on what a mouse interface means for my game. Last thing is that a little bit of animation and music goes a long way. It's amazing how far this music has brought me. I've been doing that on Instagram a little bit of music, tinkering around with that. Animation's going to be coming up. I got some aesthetic ideas for what I want for that animation, but I got to kind of mess around with it and play around with it. But we'll see what we can do. And yeah, but it does go a long way to have just those little bits of interactivity, a little bit of flashiness on there. So that's a big deal. And with that brings us to the end of the WTF segment here. And WTF is this music, but I don't mean where's the fun in this music. I just mean WTF is this music. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the episode of WTF. If you like content like this, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under those things /David West, and more importantly, you can find me trying to make my own game and learning from the best at mixer.com/David West live every Sunday and Thursday at around 9:30 Central. If you could do me a favor and have yourselves a pleasant evening, that would be fantastic. Thanks again.